Welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast, everyone. Episode 6. We are recording this today live, February 11th, 2021. Thanks to everybody who's supporting us right now. If you're listening on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple iTunes, as you know, I am your main man, Justin, one of the hosts of this show, with my man, Zach, coming all the way from Texas. What's going on, Zach?
Not much, man. You know, good to be back. Had a long weekend of drinking and partying, a little bachelor party action, and my brain's a little soft right now, I think. But it's always good to talk comics. So we got a couple good topics this week, and I'm pretty excited. Some heaters, man. One of these topics is a definite heater conversation in the comic book community.
Yeah, we definitely have some interesting stuff this week, guys. Not too many community messages, just actually really more of a comment, and we kind of want to give a shout out. Of course, we're going to dive into some DC and TV news and some Star Wars news for the TV castings. We actually have a really interesting topic this week, cameos versus first appearances.
Ooh.
And then, of course, we always like to lead out with what are we currently reading. So, again, if you guys are listening to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star review and leave some comments. Of course, you can always find us on our Instagram at the Comic-Con Podcast, or send us emails or voicemails to the comicconpodcast@gmail.com, or right on the DM us on Instagram as well, because we really want to get those community messages in there. Also, I did start uploading some of our older episodes to YouTube. So if you can't listen to us on those and you just want another avenue, there's always that. But we will be doing some live shows once we get artists or writers on the show, and get a little feedback naturally. So working right into our community message. This one actually came today from Demon Chef. He goes, just want to say I couldn't agree with you. And all right, so let me preface it on this. This was based on last week's episode where we talked about the comic book community drama within, there was a Something That Is Killing the Children book between one of the IG community members, as well as someone in a Facebook group, and going all about customer service and shipping and this and that. So again, This one is from Demon Chef 787. He says, just want to say I couldn't agree with you more about the customer service aspect. You covered it. It is something both Jeff and I, when we were operating Comic Dunes full-time, made it a point to connect with the customer. We have always had friends and new customers return because we have treated them as people, not just as dollar signs. It's a key part of the ability to a great salesman at shows. And I completely agree.
Yeah, man.
From my point, before Zach kind of jumps in, I know these guys since I live in New Jersey. I remember when they used to set up at shops, at shows, here in New Jersey. So I definitely agree with that. That's why I always went back to them, because they definitely work with you on pricing. If you're a constant person, if there's something that you didn't like, or if you bought something from them that you felt like that was out of the ordinary, they definitely will assist you with customer service. So what do you think about that, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum last episode, that customer service is key. My personal experience as well, my comic book shop here in El Paso, I've known this guy. I've been shopping there weekly for 14, 15 years now. And, he's not even what's interesting about him is he's not even a comic book guy. He's a businessman. Like, anything in his store is for sale. He's trying to move books. But what's great about him is he takes care of me. I'm there day in, week out. Mm-hmm. And honestly, he'll give me killer deals on stuff. Sometimes he just throws in free books. He's like, hey man, you know what? Here's this, and it's not like he needs to do these things. That isn't the reason I go to that shop, but it's nice to be like, oh damn, that's cool. He gets new stuff in. If I tell him hey, I'm looking for, Star Wars books, and he gets Star Wars books in, he'll be like, hey, he'll give me kind of first crack at it and whatnot. So yeah, man, customer service, it's so huge, because these people that you're just buying the books for, and we know there's shops out there who are overpricing their stuff, and they might be great shops and they might have great, inventory, but I have no loyalty to them. And to me, that matters. So I don't know. I can't overstress customer service.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing, and we really appreciate Demon Chef for sending us that message. Again, guys, if you really want to support us, and that's really what the main thing is, we want to hear from people in the community. So whether it's a direct message to either of us on our Instagrams, it's directly on the Comic-Con Podcast Instagram, or an email or voicemail is always fun. We love the voicemails because it's a really big interaction on this podcast. moving next, guys, we have a ton of TV news. If you have been living under a rock or don't know anything about social media, there was a big Star Wars firing yesterday, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Someone on The Mandalorian, their X-Wing fighter went down. Cara Dune. So,
oh, man.
Gina Carano, who's been under fire probably over the past year with her Twitter account and what she says and what she does, is just not in the know. So, Zach, what do we know about this?
So let's preface this conversation by saying this isn't a political stance on Justin or I's part on how this incident. Okay, we're not taking one side over the other. We're just going to talk about what happened. So, like Justin said, Gina Carano has been pretty conservative on her Twitter account, has posted conservative things, very Republican. And recently she posted that, in a nutshell, she said that being Republican is like being a Jewish person during the Holocaust. Now, what she means by that is that right now it feels like Republicans and conservatives, and if you want to go the route of Trump supporters, are very much targeted and silenced in the political world, the social world, and the professional world. And honestly, what's so ironic about this comment she made is the fact that they canceled her proves her point. It kind of like just proves her point that, she stands up and she's saying, no, there's nothing worse than being this. And they're like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get rid of you. Boom, done. So it's, I don't know, man. It's scary times right now, in my opinion. Like, you can just silence people for having a differing opinion. I don't get it, dude. I don't get it at all. It seems like weak in my opinion. Like, if you're afraid of someone's dissenting opinion and you just silence them and get rid of them, you seem scared. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's like, and it doesn't have to be now. It could be something that you said like 10 years ago, and people find this stuff on Twitter, and then that's it. It's just
the James Gunn stuff. I mean, it's like the same thing,
Yeah, and there was something that someone did last year that they were talking about Rosario Dawson and how she was, transphobic, like, and we were all expecting her to be Ahsoka Tano, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's going to be backlash, and then people are going to be, oh, we don't want to see her again. So it's like, now you casted somebody, you were in one episode, and now this whole Rosario Dawson thing is like going to come up with, there's accusations that, what she possibly said on Twitter. It's just like unrealistic. It's like, you really can't say anything unless you're part of, one political side.
Bro, again, 10 years from now, we're going to be silenced probably for some of the shit we said during the podcast, most likely.
Yeah, that's why we keep even our jobs out of this, guys. It's completely separate. This is just a comic thing. We like to enjoy it. So
my thing, just to kind of speak on that a little bit also, because this is an important topic, and it's not just because of The Mandalorian or Cara Dune or Gina Carano or whatever, dude. This is a very important topic in terms of freedom of speech, and there's so much like hypocrisy going on this, like people saying, and this is definitely, look, and I'm not choosing a side here, but I'm saying the left is being hypocritical at this point, because haven't they continuously and overtly always compared like the Trump administration and everyone to Nazis? Now, dude, how offensive is that to the Jewish community that went through like mass extinction and genocide, to compare people dressed up like a minotaur storming the Capitol and comparing that to the Nazi regime? Like, bro, no one was put in an oven. No one was put in work camps. You comparing that is really downplaying the Jewish community's experience here. I find that amazingly like offensive. It's just, it's incredible to me. So to them to be upset that she has now made a comparison, like the reverse way, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's just something that we put in our group chat for the Lords of the Long Box, something that Pedro Pascal put it on his Twitter back in 2018, even though it's, it's comparable, but it's not on the same level. But I'm sure nothing's going to happen to him because he's the lead role in The Mandalorian, and no one's going to look back and say, well, it's wrong or right, but that's what it is. It's a voicing your opinion.
Right.
Me personally, I haven't posted anything on my personal Facebook page in probably a good year, because it's just like, there's times where I want to just post something that may be funny, political, but I don't want to get any backlash, or if someone finds and contacts my job and says, well, look what look what Justin's saying. It's just, whatever.
God forbid someone can't take a joke, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And Pedro Pascal, look, I love the guy to death, and this isn't a dig at him by any means, but the reason why his post is okay is because it's on the opposite side.
Yes.
So it's so hypocritical and one-sided. And I think it's a bummer, man, because I watched those episodes in The Mandalorian with Gina Carano, and I'm like, I love her. Like, I think she's so awesome. And on that note, I actually was reading an article that was saying there's been some fan recastings of her. Can you imagine who they picked? You got any guesses?
Oh, I haven't. Ronda Rousey?
No, God. She's a horrendous actress, bro. I'd probably stop watching The Mandalorian. She's god awful.
I just figured someone who was like in MMA and
so it's a good casting. She's definitely a little bit older, but she's awesome. And that's Lucy Lawless from Xena, Warrior Princess.
oh my God. Wow.
But she's still killer, man. Still beautiful also as well.
No, yeah, that's crazy. Well, and I posted this in between me and you, and I said, it's too bad that she never had a first appearance in a comic. Like, they never created Cara Dune in any comic, because I'm sure that book would be blowing up completely. I'm sure they're never going to have her ever again on The Mandalorian. I'm sure they're not going to recast her. They're just going to say something happened.
And we even talked about Rangers of the New Republic. How our theory was she was going to be a focal, if not the main character. So
yep,
it's sad, man. There was so much, like in December, the Star Wars stuff. There was so much to look forward to. And now, here's the first casualty, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to some other news for TV. And speaking of Pedro Pascal, if you guys have played the game The Last of Us from Sony, which is an amazing game, the first one and second one, but they did just get some casting for the HBO show. And this is coming right off of Variety.com. So the Last of Us series has casted Pedro Pascal as the main character, Joel, and Game of Thrones breakout star Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Now, of course, we all know who Pedro Pascal is, but if you guys have never watched or can't remember who this character is until you see her, Ellie or Bella Ramsey was actually the girl who plays Lady Mormont in the Game of Thrones series. So she's the short little girl who kind of runs her own town, or
she takes over Bear Island, the kingdom of like where Jorah Mormont's from. She's like the youngest heir to that kingdom that falls under the Stark's reign in like Winterfell. And that's awesome too, man. Look at that. That's 2 Game of Thrones alums. You got the Red Viper and you got Lyanna Mormont.
Yeah. So I wonder how they're going to be able to do that, because even though we know there's not a lot of scenes where Pedro Pascal is really in The Mandalorian. Spoiler alert, if anybody doesn't know, that's really not him underneath. He just does a lot of the voiceover. There's very few times that he's actually in the Mandalorian suit. So he'll be doing both a Star Wars thing and a HBO Max, TV series, which is awesome. I absolutely love the first game, and I was not, unfortunately, a big fan of the second game, and I'm sure people out there are going to hate me for that. But I'm excited for this series. They really need to come back with a nice, good, like zombie post-apocalyptic series that's not The Walking Dead. And I think The Last of Us is a great first step in that direction.
I played the first one, and it was fun, man. I definitely liked. It almost got to a point for me in that game where there was too many options of things to do, and so then you'd forget about like some of the smaller ones. The story was really great. It was kind of an anticlimactic ending somewhat for me. I didn't play the second one. I don't imagine I will unless, it just pops up somehow and I'm bored. But yeah, dude, it's cool. And the good thing, like you said about Pedro Pascal, is hopefully that, his work schedule isn't too busy, because he's not actually physically there. He's just doing voice acting for the most part. So it's always nerve wracking to see like a show that you love and the main character blow up or the main actor blow up and get another job. And you're like, damn, how's that going to affect the original? So, and this is on HBO Max. Is that what's going to go to?
This is going to be on HBO Max.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure it'll be maybe like an 8 to 12 episode type of thing for seasons is my guess, but who really knows? So
cool.
Next up is we of course always have some nice DC news, and this one is kind of a two-parter. So today, Brian Michael Bendis actually posted on his Instagram account. He posted a 4-picture collage. It had Naomi, Marvel Studios Secret Invasion, Marvel Studios Ironheart, and his Jinx World creator-owned book called Cover. He said, "Suddenly, my peers and collaborators find ourselves in a world where there's a genuine possibility that all these shows could be on TV next year. I just wanted to say thank you from yesterday when all of you were cheering for us all the way back to the first time any of you picked up one of these comics. Thank you for supporting us. You validate this work and your support and send it on a path outside of our hands to a place where we can only dream about. Thank you so much, and more to come." So that's 4 shows that are in the works. And as I said, it's Naomi, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, and Cover. And with the news on Naomi, this actually was just posted today on on Screen Rant about Naomi, that the CW has ordered the pilot. And even though we did know about it, that it was coming, but they have ordered the pilot from producer Ava DuVernay and Jill Blankenship. So we're looking at sometime hopefully next year, because even though the only show that has started is Batwoman, all the CW shows have already been renewed for new seasons.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm thinking she may appear similar to how like Barry Allen's Flash appeared in Green Arrow first. I could see Naomi appearing in this new Lois and Superman show. That's
Could be.
up.
And we talked about this one of the previous episodes as well. Naomi is coming to the forefront in the DC Comics world as well. She's joining the Justice League once Future State's over with. She's going to be a mainstay member for quite a while, it looks like, on the Justice League. She had a pretty strong role in Bendis's Young Justice run prior to Future State, and I mean, she's primed, man. She's a good character. They're trying to do things with her. She's uber powerful, It should be
she's got a great story. I loved that 6-issue mini run that Bendis did with Jamal Walker. I love reading that. I think Jamal Walker's art is amazing. Or no, I'm sorry, not Jamal Walker, Jamal Campbell. I don't know why I said Walker, but yeah, it's Jamal Campbell is the artist, and his stuff is absolutely amazing to look at. He, currently does the art for Far Sector. Okay. So
yeah,
I'm loving seeing that as well. And I think Naomi has the possibilities, and that's what the thing is. Everybody always hates on the DC movies, but you know what? They bring show after show, and you can't really complain because, Marvel does a movie here and there, but I always like a show because you figure you get 20 episodes for, let's just call it 20 to 22 episodes a season. You get them 40 minutes each, basically, in an hour show, but with the commercials, it's like 40 to 45. You get that a lot longer than you'd see these characters in a movie. So it's a lot more fun to see. It's more drawn out. I mean, Flash has gone on for 5 seasons. Arrow was like 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Batwoman, to be honest, I don't know if you've watched have you watched the new season at all?
No, and I didn't even finish the first season.
Okay.
I wasn't into it.
So, I think it's only gone through 2 episodes or maybe even 3 at the most. I really wasn't a big fan in the beginning of this new character, Ryan Wilder, but it's actually been growing on me. And it was really weird where this past week, because I always DVR it and then I just watch it because I figure I can skip through all the commercials. And then I went to my DVR on Monday or Tuesday and I was just like, wait, there was no episode. And then I realized because Super Bowl Sunday, so nothing new was going to be on, right?
Yeah, so I pretty much stopped watching around Final Crisis. And then I was going to continue to watch the mainstay shows like Flash and Supergirl. And then honestly, funny because we were already just talking about kind of cancel culture in a way. But then there was all that drama with Elongated Man, and so it was like, damn, dude, you just set that up. And they were bringing in Sue Gibney. And then that dude got in trouble for some shit he was posting, which was weird as hell. And now he's gone. And so to me, that kind of stuff was like, okay, well, you've just given me a reason to stop watching now because I was invested in that character story arc and it was cool. And now he's just going to be gone. I don't even know how they wrote him off or if they explained anything. Have you been watching that?
He was still there. He was still there at the end of those episodes prior to COVID. They cut that season, all the seasons short by 2 episodes. So they had to finish up in a way that it was just very odd. But him and Sue are there. So, really don't know how they're going to move forward without him. I guess they're just going to say that he went off with Sue. Supergirl. This is their final season, and also Black Lightning final season as well. But everything else got renewed, even without even showing anything. So Legends of Tomorrow is renewed the
That's like
Superman
the little
show.
engine that could, bro, is Legends of Tomorrow. Like the first season was cool with Vandal Savage, and then it just got a little too zany for me. And it was kind of the comedy show,
Yes,
and I just couldn't really do it. I don't know how it keeps going, man, but
I know.
good on it.
I really thought when they brought in Constantine and they were doing like the magic stuff, I was like, please God, bring in like Zatanna and like
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Deadman. But I guess they were saving those characters for the movie. Like
Right.
that's the only thing I could think of. So last little bit of news, which was dropped today on IGN, and this movie hasn't even come out, but we're already getting a spin-off series, is Peacemaker. So if you guys know, Peacemaker is John Cena's character in the upcoming James Gunn Suicide Squad. So this TV series is actually set to appear on HBO Max in 2022. So the movie's not even out, but we already have a spin-off TV series. So it's like, if the movie's shit, are we still going to get this? What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's hard to say, because what's so funny is Suicide Squad 1 was not, people weren't crazy about it. I didn't mind it too much. I actually don't find it to be that bad. In fact, it's not even the worst DCEU movie in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But the character of Peacemaker is just not someone I find very interesting, and John Cena is not someone I really find as a great actor. So I don't know. You're gonna have to really like kind of blow me away on this Suicide Squad 2, and give me something about this character that really will, actually, who am I kidding? I'm gonna watch whatever they put out there. I'm being stupid. It doesn't matter. Even if I think John Cena sucks, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna watch this just so that we can come on the podcast if it sucks and talk shit on it. Probably.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So,
of course.
Hey, man, you know what? Like we always say, the more the better. Keep bringing John Cena, Naomi, whoever, dude. Bring more comic book stuff to this big or small screen. I don't care. I want to watch it. So,
yeah, we want stuff to talk about. So if you guys out there want to listen to us and want to know stuff in the way we think, even though it may not be your views, we're going to be open and honest.
But what's about that helmet, bro? That Peacemaker helmet, that thing is whacked. It's
shiny silver.
It's like some whack ass Cerebro helmet that he's wearing.
Yeah,
I don't get it, dude. He looks stupid as hell.
Absolutely. And actually, just to round out, since we're talking TV news, and we always like to, talk everything Marvel, DC, WandaVision.
Yeah.
What did you think of last week's episode? We're on episode 5, right? That was last week's episode. 3 episodes left.
Right. So I feel like we turned the corner with episode 4. You and I were of the same opinion, where the first 3 episodes were just like, okay, god damn, like, can we move this story along? We had episode 4 that was more of like explaining the situation. And then in episode 5, we actually see the interactions between both the outside world and the inside world. We see Vision kind of waking up to what's going on. We're kind of getting a little bit more with Wanda. She's actually acting like a crazy person when she came out and threatened him. And dude, she seems uber powerful, like more so than ever she was. I love the little like hints too. Here's what's so funny, man, about the comic book community. We get so excited, and everyone's like trying to figure out. Everyone's always trying to be the guy who breaks the news or like figures out the secrets. And everyone's like, oh man, the hexagons, there's hexagons everywhere. That has to do with Mephisto. And then this past episode, I'm like, bro, it has to do with hexes, probably, most likely, because that's like her power, the hex magic that she uses, or that, the hex bolts that she sends. It makes more sense that it's that than Mephisto. But I don't know, dude. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's getting better. I'm really liking it now. It's turned the corner, and I knew it would. We both did. We both talked about that.
Yeah. So if you guys had listened to us on, I guess, our first or maybe even second episode, when we talked about our, preview of WandaVision and what we expected or what we wanted, I said that I wanted Quicksilver to come in at some point. And what happened? We had not the what's his name, Peter Evans.
No, right? That's the one we did get, Evan Peters.
Yeah, that was the one that we did get instead of the other one, who played her, was in like Godzilla and all those other movies with, in Civil War, not Civil War. Yeah, Kick-Ass. So I think, and we're going to see what happens. Is he going to stick around post this, TV series? He's going to come out of it because, they've already shown spoilers for the Funko Pops. So
I think there's another interesting aspect about this too, is his version's a mutant, whereas the MCU version is not a mutant. So
Yeah.
what implications does that have in terms of mutants and X-Men and Magneto? Because even in the X-Men movies that he's a part of, he is actually Magneto's son. That's like talked about.
Yeah.
So what implications are we going to get? Are we getting some bleed over? Like there's so many questions, man, with that.
Yeah. And that was something that if what's her name? Olsen. What's her name? What's her first
Elizabeth
name?
Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen said that something that, and I'm not sure if we talked about this on last week's episode, that some cameo is going to appear in this season that's going to be on the same level as Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. Again, if it's Magneto, then that X-Men one is going to blow up insane.
You know what? You know who it's not? I hope she did not compare Quicksilver to Luke Skywalker. Yes. I hope that's not what she was talking about. I hope she's like, exactly. Oh, this cameo is going to blow your mind. And it's like, bro, that's just a Quicksilver. That guy's been killed like all many times. Like,
yeah. But I said that in our early episodes of doing this, that I really thought he was coming. I knew he was coming back in some format, whether it was, the Quicksilver from X-Men or if it was going to be the one from Age of Ultron. But like you said, she's super powerful. And I think in Endgame, she would have probably destroyed Thanos if it wasn't for him firing his ship down on everybody.
And they mentioned that, like Monica says that. Monica even like explains, and don't get me wrong, it's not like we didn't know how powerful she is, but they actually have never really addressed that issue in the MCU until now. And Monica said it in that meeting. She was like, hey, she would have wrecked Thanos if he wouldn't have pulled like a cheap shot.
Yeah.
So we're seeing like her powers just reach all new levels with this. I mean, now the key is, or the question is she the one who's in control? Or is she just is she not a cog in the machine as well? And she thinks she's running it, but maybe she's not, Obviously everyone's heard like the rumors about Mephisto. There's even been some nightmare rumors as well, that it's some of these characters. And like you said, the Funko Pop, there was Mephisto and Agatha.
They showed if that's her, and then you have Quicksilver in his costume, in like that type of costume, which is more, I feel like it's more X-Men driven than it was the Age of Ultron version. But we got tons of stuff to theorize about, and everybody thinks they know until
I love it. I love hearing everyone's like, no, it's Mephisto. That's what it's gonna be. Just watch. I love it. I'm like, okay, dude. Are you in the writer's room? What's happening? You and Feige like boys?
Oh yeah, fly on the wall. That's exactly what it is. That's why I do this little podcast, and there's thousands of them out there, and everybody listens to us. So
wait, so what'd you say? 3 more episodes? That was episode
3 more
5,
episodes.
right?
Yeah, that was episode 5. So we only have 3 more left.
I was bummed to see that we didn't get, because there was talk that maybe we were going to get episodes 5 and 6 because of spoilers.
Yeah, well, that's what we said. Yeah, that's what we said last week, but we only got the 1. So I think it'll just be one a piece, and then maybe maybe the last episode's longer than 26 minutes, because I can't stand the 10 minutes of credits.
14 minutes, like 14 minutes of credits. And it's the worst too, because it's MCU, so you feel like you gotta sit through it. You're like, okay, if I don't sit through it, then I'm gonna read on one of these websites how I missed something, because someone in the world is watching that. So anyway, it's crazy.
Oh well. That's the end of our TV news for DC, Marvel, and all things Star Wars. Our next topic, and this is something that is probably brought up every 2 months on either a YouTube channel, on the internet, and people fight about it, is Cameo versus first appearance in comic books. So
I think you're giving it more credit. Like every 2 months. Yeah, right, dude. That's like, it's like every day people fighting about these topics on Instagram or whatever.
That's what it is. So before I'm gonna kind of pass this one off to Zach, I kind of want to just go over the definitions of what a cameo and a first appearance is.
And where are you reading these from? Sorry.
So according to Wikipedia, a cameo appearance or cameo role is a brief appearance or voice part of a well-known person in a work of the performing arts. So that is a cameo. And a first full appearance, and this is actually on Go Collect, and this was the one that I liked a lot. The GoCollect.com actually has an article of cameo versus first full appearance. They say that, of course, defining the first full appearance is tough, and some apps help. Essentially, the first full appearance is a full story of the character, with the character appearing in multiple panels and multiple pages. Think of Amazing Fantasy 15 as the first full appearance of Spider-Man, while Amazing Spider-Man 1 in his first series issue 1 or his self-titled series. on both of these is outrageous, but let's compare one grade for both books. Amazing Spider-Man #1 in a 5.0 has a fair market value of 10,500 in comparison to Amazing Fantasy 15, fair market value price of 30,000, 3 times the price of the titled series. So, I'm going to pass this one off to Zach. Zach, let's talk about Cameo versus first appearances.
So that's actually, that definition in that example is a very easy one. That's one that no one ever disputes, the first appearance of Spider-Man there. But there's so many that are highly disputed. And I think everyone probably agree the biggest one that's disputed the most often is Hulk 180 cameo appearance versus Hulk 181 Wolverine first appearance. Now, first full appearance, I'm sorry. And I'm not saying those are my stances on it. I'm just saying that's kind of like what the community and the market has chosen as Wolverine's cameo and Wolverine's first full. Now, where people start to argue is, well, he's on a full panel. He speaks his name. He has, word bubbles. And then in the 181, he's obviously on the cover and it's a full, complete story, kind of like your definition that you just read. So there's so many things as to decide like what picks the cameo and the first full appearance. And honestly, it's so confusing because most times it's going to be the market. The community and who's paying for what is going to decide what book has the value over the other. And that just sucks because that's like, there's nothing you can do about it. And we really have reached a point where no definition fits because there's so many outliers and there's so many like, well, what about this book? Or, what about that one? So there's no definitive true like stance. And then to even muddy the waters up even more, we've got CGC, which is the premier grading company that sometimes will come in and say, this is the first full appearance on the title of the CGC book. And I'll talk about a specific one on that here as we go. And then people disagree with that as well. So, and then, we all know CGC also doesn't recognize sometimes first appearances unless you tell them that it's a first appearance. So it's like, it's hard to say. Basically, we don't have the answer. And what needs to happen is the community needs to come together probably and just say like, okay, from February 2021, we're now moving forward as this is the hard and fast rule of cameo versus first full. So let's talk about a couple ones. I think Justin and I both picked 2. So we'll go to Justin first, talk about a couple of the cameo versus first full. Jeez, a tongue twister.
Yeah. So I chose one Marvel and one DC, and we'll go back and forth between myself and Zach. So my first one, one that kind of pops up, is a more modern book, is Damian Wayne's first appearance. So his first cameo appearance is in Batman 655. The reason why they consider this a cameo appearance, and I'm basically going to tell you exactly how it appears in Batman 655. You see him and Talia, his mother, from a shadow point of view, looking at a monitor, seeing it's Bruce Wayne, and he says, and I quote, "That's him. That's my father. What are we going to do now, Mama?" And Talia says, and you still see Damian as a shadow. She says, now we shall say hello. So
do you know it's Talia in that book at that moment?
It's Talia.
Okay.
That's all you know. You don't know who this character is. It's just
right.
a kid. That's all you know. And he basically says that he's, that's his father. Don't know name, nothing. Now, in the next issue, the entire issue of Batman 656, there is absolutely nothing. Batman is fighting Man-Bats, versions of in the League of Shadows. The whole issue is Batman just fighting until the very end where he's captured, brought to a submarine, and the Man-Bats basically take Batman, hold him, and then the very last panel is a full shot of Damian, and he says, "Father, I imagined you taller." And that is the first full appearance of Damian Wayne.
And he's been a shithead ever since.
Oh, and I love it.
I know, he's great.
So we kind of, for this, we're kind of talking cameo versus full appearance and price point. So for this character, his cameo in Batman 655 is the money book compared to his first full appearance in Batman 656. And CGC recognizes 655 as the cameo in comics, and 656 is his first full appearance in comics.
So that's kind of cut and dry. I mean, that's pretty like, there's not a ton of arguments on that one, is there?
No, but it doesn't say first full appearance, but
gotcha.
it's just why, again, this is why we go back to, like you said, the Hulk 180 versus 181. The 180 is his cameo, even though it is his name. He talks. Same thing. Batman 655. He talks everything. 655 is the money book, but for whatever reason, Hulk 180 is not the money book. Hulk 181 is the money book. So that's my first book as far as a cameo versus full appearance and the monies. So, Zach, what's your first book?
Well, so I want to talk about yours real quick.
Oh,
so
yeah, sure.
that's an interesting one also because, and once again, we talk about like, it's so hard to compare these. Like even the ones we're bringing up, they're hard to compare because the Damian Wayne ones, he's not on any of those covers until what, 657 is his first cover appearance.
Yeah, he doesn't appear at all.
It's hard to compare that to like the Wolverine 180, 181, because obviously he's primed and ready in 181 on the cover too. So that's like another thing. It's like now you have, first cover appearance as well. So anyway, so my first book is going to be the Gambit first appearance. So we have Uncanny X-Men Annual number 14, which came out in 1990, and CGC lists this as the Gambit cameo. Now, what's interesting about this book is it actually came out a few weeks before Uncanny X-Men number 266. So CGC labels 266 as Gambit's first appearance. And everyone knows that one. He's on the cover, holding Storm up. It's the classic. And that's the one that the market has decided as the first appearance of Gambit. But like I said, Uncanny X-Men Annual came out a few weeks before 266. Now, what makes it even extra trickier is even though it came out before, it is actually takes place after 266. I mean, there's even one of those little asterisks that says, for details, see X-Men number 265 through 267. So you're probably like reading this as it came out. You're like, well, shit, man, how am I going to get details on that? That book hasn't even came out yet. So the other thing in this book is Gambit does have talking, word bubbles. He's not just in a cameo panel. He actually is like interacting with Storm, making their way to the X-Mansion, and he actually is talking. So it's, once again, we're like, oh, wow. So this is actually his first publication appearance. But the market has decided it's 266 and not Uncanny X-Men Annual 14. And there's a pretty big price differential between the two of those books. You're talking like $300. So the community or the market has decided, and once again, like I said, I was bringing up how company like CGC comes out on their label and says, boom, that's Gambit. And even what's interesting about the annual one is it says Gambit cameo, and this is predates Uncanny X-Men 266. So they actually acknowledge it as well. So yeah. What's your next one?
So my next one, and this book has just been blowing up, and it will probably blow up even more as soon as the trailer happens, is first appearance of Carnage. So of course, everybody knows the big book is Amazing Spider-Man number 361, but in Amazing Spider-Man number 360, there is a big one page that has it has basically 7 different panels, and Carnage's symbiote is in 4 of the panels. He's talking in 4 of the panels, and in the final panel of this page, he basically says, and I quote, "to be the first victim of Carnage," and you see half his face.
Right.
But the next issue, 361, he's on the cover. He's literally on the first page. He's on page 1 of issue 361, and it's all about him. And then the entire issue is all first appearance, and that's the money book. So it's odd that nobody else is picking up the 360 or never really wanted to pick up 360 because he's on the cover. I think if he wasn't on the cover in 361, maybe the 360 would be more. But again, this goes back to market dictating it, because it's an amazing cover. It's a classic cover. It's been swiped a few times, not a lot, but that, this is what it is. It starts the Carnage storyline with him and Spider-Man and Venom. But I really think that 360 should, really should get some more love.
You know what? That one is actually pretty spot on to the Wolverine. You know what I mean? Same thing. Final panel, maybe not such a clear picture as you see in 180 of Hulk of Wolverine, but he's named. You see his face. And then the second book, the follow-up book, on the cover, on the first page, and like the actual story. So that is a pretty, exact example of what we consider like the original controversy, the Wolverine issue. So that's a good one. That's actually a really good one.
So what's your second one?
So my second one is a more modern book. We see a lot of like hype about this right now. And the reason I brought this one up is because this is an interesting one. I wanted to talk about, and you've heard me talk about the labels of CGC. So I'm going to talk about Kanan, the Last Padawan, numbers 1 and 6, and as well as number 5. So in Kanan, the Last Padawan, to kind of get an idea of how this works.
Real quick, I want to stop you and preface that. I'm sure everyone's like, wait, why isn't Justin talking about this?
Right. Sometimes Justin's got to take a Star Wars break every once in a while. So Kanan, the Last Padawan is a 12-part miniseries, maxi series, whatever you want to call it. And it deals in real time of Kanan and his characters during Rebels, as well as more of like a flashback story. So it's kind of interesting how that works. So in issue 1, we see the crew of the Ghost, and we see all of them. We see Sabine Wren, we see Kanan, we see Ezra. And the main character I'm kind of talking about here is Sabine Wren, because she actually has a talking role or a word bubble in the first issue. Now, CGC actually labels that as first appearance of all these characters. Side note, Justin, you can talk about this as well. So we always going to tag you in on Star Wars, but isn't there a variant for this where they do not label that?
Yes. So it's very interesting. The second printing of Kanan number 1 only says first appearance of Kanan Jarrus and then in parentheses Caleb Dune. But Kanan 1 first printing, the Scotty Young variant, the Rebels animation variant, and the 1 in 25 David Plunkett variant all say first appearance in comics of all the Rebels crew.
Right.
So it's very odd.
So then the controversy is we get to issue 6, and I'm going to come back to issue 5, but we get to issue 6, and in issue 6 you actually see those characters interacting. Like, you haven't really seen them like take part in the story necessarily until issue 6, and they're named and they talk, they interact with Kanan more. So they definitely are getting more of like Justin's definition of, story time, if you will, in this issue. So a lot of people have, and I think the market, and you're going to be able to obviously give numbers better on this than I am, the market has somewhat dictated 6 is the issue, correct?
Correct.
And what's funny about this, like we were saying, is CGC has now listed 1 as the first appearance. So it's very confusing. I mean, there's no right answer here. And everyone has like dug in their heels in their trenches. And you know why. Like, it's so obvious when people are like, no, it's 6 or no, it's 1. It's like, motherfucker, that's because that's the book you have. You know what I mean? Like, so you want the one that has it. Like all the guys, the 180s, like you can keep preaching to the mountaintops that 180, Hulk 181, Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. It's not. It doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
It's probably because you don't have 181, and that's why you're claiming 180. So, and then to kind of go back, what's also confusing as well, and this is something I want to touch on as well, is in issue 5 of Kanan, the Last Padawan, you do get a preview as well. And previews are just now, God, it seems like this past year, COVID has had such an impact on everything. The most negative impact, in my opinion, on comics is previews have become a thing, which I just don't get, man. And to be honest, it's not the first time. I was going to speak on Spider-Man 2099. His first appearance as well is like, people look back and say, oh, well, there's a preview, a 5-page preview in Amazing Spider-Man 365 and Web of Spider-Man. So it's like, how do you know anymore? Like, does a preview count as a first appearance? What is that? I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now there's with the Kanan thing, and like you said, as far as numbers, Kanan 1 is selling for about between, let's just call it on the first printing, $200 to $300. The issue number 6 is like a $700 book. So it's like a double, it's 2 times the amount of money. And I really think it's 6 issues later. And yes, she's more in the story with the rest of the Rebels crew. She's on the cover with them. But like, why? Is it because she's on the cover? Is that the reason why this book is so expensive? Because
maybe. What's the print run like? Is the print run different?
I'm sure it's a little less, but I don't. Without going to Comic-Con and looking at the monthly sales, I don't know. I mean, right. I will say that I do know that issue 1 has a print run of a little over 100,000. I think it's like 110, and even like the second printing is only about 5,000. So, with all the variants on issue 1, again, only time will tell of like who wants to buy what.
Right.
I like issue 1. People want issue and people want issue 5. So,
and I get it too, man. Like I get, honestly, if I'm getting a first appearance of a character and I have to decide if it's something like one of these books that are, okay, it could be one of 3 different books, I'm probably going to pick the one that has them on the cover. I mean, that's the one. I mean, if you're getting it for a character, you want to see them on the cover, because if it's slabbed, shit, you can't see what's on the pages. So you want your character on the cover. But
I'm more of like I like it on the label. And that's something that I've been trying to, when I send in books to CGC, I put a post-it on the book saying, and I like, sometimes I know that, I look at the CGC census and it'll show if there's any notes for that character. So obviously Kanan 6, it doesn't have it. Let's just kind of look at a character like, and this has been added more recently, because I'm sure a lot more people were sending in books after Disney's investor thing back in December. It was first appearance of Visage Ventress, which is the Mace Windu one-shot. But for the longest time, there was nothing. Now, all of a sudden, and it probably only showed up about within the past 2 to 3 weeks, because I check the census constantly, is that they finally put on the notes first appearance of Visage Ventress.
Okay. So, that always sucks too, if you had that book slabbed already and it didn't have it, you just send it back to CGC and you're like, crap, what if they crack it and it's less?
Well, you just get a reholder. Yeah. To be honest, you really just get a reholder. And just from another Star Wars, and we talked about this, earlier today, is the Rise of Kylo Ren number 3. Mm-hmm. They actually notate it. It says first appearance of Avar Chris in a cameo in page 9. So it's like CGC, whoever is adding them there's always different labels now. It's like, now they're giving you the page, telling you it's a cameo and the character. And then her first full appearance would be the High Republic number 1 that just came out. So
it's interesting, man. It's a very loaded topic, and it's so polarizing.
Oh, of course. And I'm sure anybody that's listening, if you guys want to comment and think of characters that we didn't, we could talk about Darkseid all day. There's 2 or 3 appearances that he's in.
Batman Beyond, like I said, Spider-Man 2099.
Oh yeah,
there's a ton, man.
I was gonna pick Darkseid because of the Justice League, the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. And what's really interesting is CGC has actually changed this label similar to the Kanan 1. So the old Kanan 1, again, only had first appearance of Kanan Jarrus, and then they updated it with the rest of them. But I want to say it's Forever People number 1 says second appearance of Darkseid in Cameo. But if you look at a new label from CGC, it actually says first full appearance. So they actually changed the label, I guess maybe based on market, or I really don't know. But that's what it is. It's like all of a sudden these labels can change. So all these people are running out buying a Kanan 6 for, like you said, are they going to change? Are they going to say that's they're all the characters for a full appearance, or are they just going to leave it as is and let people buy Kanan 6?
And then to go back on like the Hulk 180, Hulk 181 drama. It didn't help that like when Hickman's X-Men came out, there was a page in one of the early books, I think like House of X and Powers of 10, where it actually labels, and it says like different characters' first appearances. It says Wolverine, Incredible Hulk 180 as his first appearance. And then of course that just like kicked the beehive, if you will. It's just like shit, man.
Yeah, but nobody wants to see that, and then everybody ran out and got a 180 because Hickman and Marvel notate that as the first appearance of the character, which is just
look. And I'm not above it either. Like I'm sitting here with a 181, and I'll go to the death with that. That's the first full appearance of Wolverine. I don't care if they switch the labels. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And that's the one I got. I don't have a 180, so like I'm as guilty as anyone else. So.
So that's our Cameo versus first full appearances in comics. Again, we can debate this all day with anybody on any book and a lot of characters out there. But we're going to move on to our last and final topic of the evening. And of course, we'd love to talk about comics because this is a comic book podcast. What are we currently reading? Of course, if you guys are listening to the first time, or if you're back again listening to the Comic-Con podcast, this is a segment that we like to talk about. What are we currently reading? What you may be reading, or what you have read, or what you could be reading out there that you just didn't know about. So recently, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I posted about a teaser of 50 Star Wars books that I got back, and then I showed off about 30 of them. And I actually kind of went back and was reading because I wanted to read about this because one of the books I sold or traded to somebody, I can't really remember at this point, but the Darth Vader Volume 2 run by Charles Soule. So the reason why I actually went back and read this was I started at issue 6, and the reason why was because this is the first appearance of a lot of the Inquisitors.
Right.
So you have ninth sister, you have the 6th brother, 8th brother, 5th brother, and 7th sister all appear in issue 6 of this Darth Vader run. If you guys have watched the Star Wars Rebel TV show, you see a lot of those characters in that, or you even see some of them that show up in the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So I kind of started at issue 6, and then I just went down a rabbit hole over the past, few days of finishing off the series up to 25, which I'm telling you, man, I think series 2 is the best of the 3.
Yeah, it's really good. And who is it? Who writes series or volume 1 is Kieran Gillen, right? And now it's a great
love
one.
him.
Yeah.
We absolutely love Kieran Gillen, but man, the Charles Soule run I think is just such a great time frame because it's pre-Luke. It's all like what's going on in the rise of the Empire between episodes 3 and 4.
All the Mustafar stuff.
Oh yeah, the whole
It's
Vader
awesome,
Fortress. There's a lot more hunting down of Jedi, and all these Inquisitors are in there. So you get a lot of the who survived Order 66, which is really cool. So I went down a rabbit hole, and I started at issue 6, and I just didn't stop reading for 2 days. So
yeah, that's a must read, man. That's a must read.
Yeah, and then you got Kamakuli. He's the Italian artist who does also the current High Republic as well, and he did a couple variants. They're just awesome. It's just awesome to look at. The covers are great on all the on every one. I mean, they're almost like Alex Ross covers, to be honest, but it's not. So
yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And I think I was reading that kind of at the time when I was also playing Jedi Fallen Order. So it was like resonating because you had all the Inquisitors also in there and with the game and stuff. Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, and not to go back down the rabbit hole, I think you and I have talked about this on Lords of the Long Box like a million times, how great the Kanan 1 through 12 is. Like it's just, these are must reads for Marvel Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If you wanted something to read and you have if you don't want to kind of read the current Darth Vader run because it's kind of it's in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, absolutely just go out and buy the hardcovers or the trade paperbacks, or even if you could find all the issues. I don't really think any of the issues are super expensive. I would say issue 3 and issue 6 are the hardest ones because there are some first appearances in there, but that run is just so awesome. There's a lot of action. Darth Vader is just thrown to the winds with the Emperor, and that's something that's been in every series, right, Zach? Like,
yeah,
it's been a back and forth battle, and that's something that you never saw in the movies because they're short.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good pick.
What you got on this week? What's your pick this week?
So I got 2, and I'm going to try to keep them short, and I'll explain why on my second one why I picked 2. So my first one though is going to be Mighty Morphin by Boom Studios number 4. So honestly, I was never a massive Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan growing up. Like it was kind of a little too kiddish for me. I was kind of in that weird realm where I was a little too old possibly for it, and I just didn't get into it. But I started reading the comics, a couple years ago, and they are awesome. I'm really telling you, if you're not reading the Power Ranger stuff by Boom Studios, you are missing out. It's great, and they kind of fall within the cartoon as well. So Mighty Morphin is actually a newer series within the Mighty Morphin universe, if you will, the Power Rangers universe. I'm sorry. So Mighty Morphin in this issue, I'm going to try to be a little spoiler friendly here. I see a lot of people, you've probably seen it too, posting the big spoiler on this book. But this book follows the second iteration of the Power Rangers, after the red, black, and yellow Rangers originally took off, and you have the new red, the new yellow, the new black, and you also have Tommy as the White Ranger. So that's kind of your Power Rangers core team here. But in these past issues, we've also seen a new Green Ranger. And the Green Ranger has been kind of this mystery as to like who he is and who's actually in it. A lot of people thought maybe it was the evil version of Tommy, Lord Draken. And we actually get the reveal at the end of this book as to who the character is. So it's pretty cool. It's not a new character. It's someone who, if you're reading the books, you will know who it is. And it's pretty cool. I thought it was good. I'm telling you, like, a lot of people probably might be listening, like, oh, Power Rangers, that's lame. But they're really good. The writing is great. Ryan Parrott is the one writing Mighty Morphin. And it's awesome, dude. And the artwork's really good too. And I'm not an art guy. This cover is done by your boy In-Hawk Lee.
Yeah, saw that.
Where it looks like he's like hit up by the paparazzi and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So check that one out for sure. Check out all the Power Ranger stuff. They're great. So my second,
I just want to kind of jump on that one
for sure.
I grew up in an era, you know, I'm in that range of like when Power Rangers came out and it was popular. My brother was big into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember watching it just because like I've always watched all those different types of shows and I was a big anime fan, like martial arts. So like I like watching it because it was something different. But I think who really started the Boom Studios stuff, which was really nice on the Power Rangers, was Kyle Higgins.
Yes.
He came off of DC's Nightwing. So he was, you know, known to writing that like high acrobatic type of character. And now you have, you know, 5 or 6 different characters. So it's really interesting to see whoever is drawing it and him being able to write the characters. And especially, I'm sure I think he's around our age range. So he grew up on those characters as well. There's never been another Green Ranger, right? I'm sure there's never been, other than Lord Draken. Tommy Oliver has always been the Green Ranger, and then he became the White Ranger. And in this iteration, he is the White Ranger, but there is a new Green Ranger.
Correct.
And there's never been one, I don't think, in any other TV series at all.
I don't want to speak on that because I don't want to get killed by some Power Ranger fanboy.
I think so.
I think you're right, but I don't
think there's ever been another Green Ranger. I think, you know, what's his name? Jason David Frank is.
Oh, yeah. He is Power Rangers.
Yeah, he is Power Rangers. He is the Green and White Ranger for as long as it will be. But yeah, we won't spoil who it is. I did look up and I did see who it was, and I think it's a great series.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you kind of gave me a good segue, and I appreciate that. The next issue I'm going to talk about that was awesome is Radiant Black #1, actually written by Kyle Higgins, and this is from Image as well. So, or I'm not as well, but it's from Image.
People out there, I did not do that on purpose.
Oh, yeah, no, that was good though. I was like, damn, that was a good one. So there's not a lot that's going on in this issue, man, but it's a #1, and you basically, in a nutshell, you got this guy who's trying to be a writer, and for lack of a better, I'm going to be a little harsh. He's kind of a loser. He has the first issue shows that he has, or first panel that he has $38,000 worth of credit card debt. Okay, so that's not ideal. So this guy like moves home with his family. He ends up, like I said, he's trying to be a writer. He ends up running into seems like some idiot friend of his from childhood in the old town. They go out drinking, and he basically runs into this some weird floating black hole thing. He touches it and boom, he's surrounded by like some suit. It almost has like an Exo Manowar feel to it, you know, like where it's this alien thing. He's covered in this suit. And then all of a sudden he has like these weird powers, but well, not weird, but just he has powers. We don't know what's going on. You don't have any idea about anything going on right now, but it's funny. It seems fresh. It's new. They're new characters. And at the end of the issue, you kind of get like, you can see where the direction of the book's going a little bit as well. But I enjoyed it, man. I really liked it. I was looking forward to this book coming out, and I can't wait to read more.
Yeah, I'm actually looking it up on Image's website. It's pretty funny. So it says for fans of Invincible and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So right there, you were just talking Power Rangers.
Right.
It says it reinvents superheroes for a new generation. Nathan Berman, who is the main character, has just turned 30 and things aren't great. He's working and failing at 2 jobs. His credit card debt is piling up, and his only move is moving back home with his parents. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And that's me just saying that. But Nathan discovers and unlocks the ethereal cosmic radiant. It's given his powers to radically change his fortunes. There's just one problem. The powers don't belong to him, and the cosmic beings who created them want them back by any means necessary. So, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'm surprised I didn't pick that up either, because, you know, who in this day and age in their 30s doesn't have credit card debt, who possibly not working 2 jobs, and in the event that you have to move back home with your parents, it happens. So
I'm gonna be honest. I definitely $38,000 worth of credit card debt. Like that's a problem, bro. Like that's a change your name, move to a different country problem, not move home with your mom and dad problem. So, but check that book out, man. I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
Is it a mini? Is it limited or is it ongoing?
I don't really know. I think it's ongoing as of now. I haven't read anything saying it. Kind of was a surprise to me. I knew people were talking about it, but I hadn't read much, in terms of like the hype for it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll pick up the number one. And I like Kyle Higgins, so I don't know. I hope it's an ongoing. Actually, I don't say that. I actually kind of like the 12-issue maxi series formats, to be honest with you. So
yeah, sometimes or even if it's a mini series and people like it enough where it then it becomes an ongoing series.
Right. I like the volumes.
I've seen that.
Yeah, like 12-issue volumes. Then you can do like volume 2, another run of 12 issues or something like that. So anyway.
So that wraps up our, of course, comic segment for the evening, guys. We are, of course, rounding down the night. We want to really appreciate everybody listening to us. We've been going for about an hour this week, a little longer than our normally scheduled programming. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. Again, hopefully, if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a 5-star review and leave us some comments. Always, you can find us on our Instagram at the Comic-Con Podcast. Send us emails or voicemails to the Comic-Con Podcast at gmail.com. You can find me, of course, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime, on Instagram. My man Zach at Milton the Manimal. That's all I have this week. Of course, like I said, I have been dropping some of the older episodes on the YouTube channel. It's the Comic-Con Podcast, same name. Eventually, we will be doing some live shows on there to get some live interaction with some people. Hey, if we only got like 2 or 3 people and they're asking questions, that's always good for us. Zach, anything in closing words for this evening?
No, like Justin said, thanks a lot for listening. Please keep any questions and voice memos coming in. We love those. They're so much fun. I'll probably be dropping a Mutant Monday this upcoming Monday. I got a pretty good topic from an actual question sent in from a fan asking me to tackle a topic. So keep an eye out for that one. It should be a fun one. And that's it, man. Can't wait till next week already.
All right, guys. We'll catch you guys later on the Comic-Con Podcast. Peace out.